saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Was grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. saved a wretch like me.
Understand that Paul is working to go down for singing grade levels. But I think she has to. So, or we get started. Is there anybody that hasn't had the opportunity to take the Lord's Supper today? Okay. We'll go ahead and get started this morning. The only believers anything to add is a Rick, Noah, need someone to lead opening and closing prayers at the appropriate time. First song, number 679. Just so sweet to trust in Jesus. Tis so sweet to trust in Jesus, just to take Him at His word, just to rest upon His promise, just to know thus saith the Lord. Jesus, Jesus, how I trust Him, how I prove Him more and more. Jesus, Jesus,
Our Heavenly Father, we are grateful for this week. Thank you for those of the point. Thank you, thankful for the beautiful creation. Lord, Heavenly Father, that you are our Creator. You bless us so bountifully. Thank you for that. I ask that you continue to watch over us this week. We strive to follow your path. Help us to will dedicate our lives to your service. We will be faithful to you and your will. Oh, we're being simple. Then I will have to just ask you to give us for your goodness and to pick us up. Back on you. Back on that. Your Father, we thank you for this day. The time we had in remembrance of your Son, our Savior, sacrifice and thank you. Thank you for the lessons that are about to hear. We song the Lord and sing. For this as we worship you, our Lord and Savior. Pray for your mercy. May you watch over us. May those that are in this day as being blessed. Their looks and their brothers. Thankful for those who are together. Please help us to live every opportunity. Your Father, for our young people that's perhaps are out of school. You those who are graduating, getting ready for a we all strive to be better in our spiritual life. We ask in the name of Jesus.
Next song is number 881, Mansion Over the Hilltop. 881.
I'm satisfied with just how below, a little silver and a little gold. But in that city where the rest will shine, I want a gold one, that silver one. I got a mansion just over the hilltop. In that bright land where
9:15. If you'd like to mark it, 9:15.
Psalm for the lesson is page 95. Page 95. Hallelujah. And life's a Savior longer than man's allotted days, and life's a fleeting changes of life's uneven ways. But if my Savior calls me to that sweet home on high, I'll live with Him forever in glory by and by. Oh yes, I'll live in glory by and by. I'll tell and sing the story of there on high, there with my dear Redeemer, there no more to die. Oh yes, I'll live in glory by and by. I want to be of service along this pilgrim way, and lead the lost to Jesus as fervently I pray. As day by day I travel, I'll keep Him ever nigh, and live with Him forever in glory by and by. Oh yes, I'll live in glory by and by. I'll tell and sing the story of there on high, there with my dear Redeemer, there no more to die. Oh yes, I'll live in glory by and by. He and I know is hearing, by faith I look away to yonder lonesome pearl, the land of endless day. I'll cling to Him forever and look beyond the sky, and live with Him forever in glory by and by. Oh yes, I'll live in glory by and by. I'll tell and sing the story of there on high, there with my dear Redeemer, there no more to die. Oh yes, I'll live in glory by and by.
Good evening. Good to see everyone. And it's always good to be here on a Sunday evening. Had a good service, I thought, this morning. I do want to mention next week we'll have our care group meeting, not our hair group meeting. So you are welcome whether you have hair or not, no matter what color it is. But we will have our care group meeting. And one of the things we'll discuss is, do we want to call it the care group or do we want to call it something else? So I've had a couple of suggestions, and so we'll just see what the consensus is, and we'll go from there. Bring finger foods, and we'll have that. Ladies' Day, it's probably good. I was kind of walking by there, and I found out I'd been volunteered for things, so it's probably good I was close by, so I could make sure that nothing too devastating. No, I'm looking forward to that. I'm glad that that is back on the table and being done again. Last couple of weeks we've had at least 4 in our teen class, and I think next week we'll probably be able to start having around 5 every week. And we're excited. They enjoyed going through the Bible Bowl material for the Romans is what the last leaders are doing, and so looking forward to that and get some momentum on that. Once again, keep in mind those that are, especially Sarah, she's going to be traveling Thursday a long ways. So, needless to say, North Dakota, huh? Oh, I thought somebody said so. But anyway, going to North Dakota, so just keep them in your prayers. And we know what it's like when you send the kid off long hours and hours away. So, she'll be okay. But Also, I know Johnny Sue's at tomorrow. She goes for a scan. Okay. And Haley goes. We don't think we're going to get good news, but she's heading for surgery. It's just a matter of what details they'll need to do. She is meeting with the surgeon Tuesday. I guess they'll do some type of scan or MRI just to know exactly what they're looking at. But been down this road before, so that's probably where it's going. I'm hoping it's not as bad, so maybe the surgery won't be quite as extensive. But that's likely where she's headed. So we'll know Tuesday. And anyway, our lesson tonight, we stink. Talking to Larry Ashley this morning, and got talking about, he said he had a dream about skunks. And then he said that he's had dreams before where they came true. And I'm like, well, I'm going to stay away from you for a while because, skunks are not. And so I said, since this lesson here, we stink, I've told it, I think, here once before, but it's worth telling again about the time I became a man. When do you become a man? I was about 12 years old, and me and my brother, we mowed yards, and we'd saved up a bunch of money. We bought 2 really nice tents and camping equipment with our summer earnings. And late summer, we went to Table Rock Lake State Park, and outside of Branson, we had a Branson vacation planned, and so we're out camping out. My dad, expert camper, at least that's what we all figured, because he was an Eagle Scout. And by the way, my understanding is once you're an Eagle Scout, you're always Eagle Scout. So he's an Eagle Scout, and so anyway, we had breakfast for supper. That's you get the cast iron skillets out, and you have some bacon on an open fire. Nothing like it. It is really good. And so anyway, it's getting nighttime after a while, and we go to sleep. Well, they had left the pan out with the grease in it. And needless to say, and I've heard that the park there is kind of known for this, but a skunk decided to pay us a visit. Now, my mom is a very light sleeper. And so she wakes my dad. Now, me and my brother in a different tent. But my understanding, what they relayed to us, is she woke my dad up and said, I hear something outside. And so my dad gets up and he unzips the tent and shines flashlight over there. Sure enough, it's a skunk on the table eating out of skillet. And my mom, bless her heart, some of y'all have met her and before she passed, but Southern Belle, and she's just looking at it, she said, you need to do something about it. People won't think that we got skunk, no one else got a skunk. And so skunk came to us, we did something wrong, and so you need to get rid of that skunk. So my dad, in his infinite wisdom, now I will say it was about 2 or 3 in the morning, and he'd been abruptly woken up. So I'll give him a little bit of benefit of doubt. But he decides he sees a rock right outside the tent. Now, my dad was a scholarship baseball player for a while at the University of Auburn. Had a good arm. Great baseball player back in his day. And so he decides he's going to throw this rock, like I say, 2 or 3 in the morning, give it, and scare the skunk. Now, not a good idea, but that's what he decides he's going to do. However, when he decides to throw it, and he throws it pretty hard, instead of just hitting near the skunk, he hit the skunk right in the head. And it knocked the skunk over the table, and it was out. And they waited. And they waited. And now my mom's horrified. People are going to see a skunk came and ate of our skillet and then died. So you got to do something about it. He said, what do you want to do about it? So put it in a garbage bag and throw it in the trash. So anyway, my dad gets up. And like I said, this is probably 10, 15 minutes after, he originally hit it. And so he gets up and he has the garbage bag in hand and he gets about 2 or 3 feet from it. And that thing wakes up. Wasn't happy. And so it does a little dance where it's spraying, just in circles and everything. And my dad kind of gets out of the way as best he can. And skunk then leaves, And so that's where we come into play. This is where my manhood started because, 3 o'clock, some in the morning, my dad unzips our tent. And he goes, boys, what are we going to do? I thought you're the adult, you're the parent, you're the, Eagle Scout. But anyway, what are we going to do? And because the campsite really stunk at this time. And so we decided, well, let's go to a hotel, And so we put the tents up middle of the night, and we went and got a hotel. However, when we got to the hotel, we was like, we just couldn't get the smell out of it. It's like we just could not. It just kept. And once we got to the hotel room, we realized what it was. My dad had got skunk. And so, by the way, it I don't know if you've ever heard the wives' tale, but it actually works. So we got a whole bunch of tomato soup cans and stuff, and filled the bathtub up. And he took a bath and tomato juice, and it worked. So anyway, he stunk. I mean, wasn't nothing way around it, and our campsite did. But, that's something that people are not really proud of, is it? You wouldn't see, lo and behold, I don't know, I meant to ask you, Wayne, what kind of football team magazines look like having this year. But, you wouldn't want to go to a team where the cheerleaders get up there and they have this cheer that says, we're going to lose, we stink. Yeah, we stink. I mean, that just would not be, I don't think that would be very appropriate, nor would anyone like it. So no one likes to stink. And yet that is in essence what our lesson is about. No one likes a bad smell. Now, but now I will say this. If there was younger guys here, I'd warn them. One of the things, responsibilities of a husband is if a wife gets something that, is, say, expired, that just has a rotten smell or a bad taste. Here, taste this. It don't taste right. And you're like, why do I need to taste it? I'll take your word for it. Don't taste right or it smells bad. But part of duty as a husband is you've got to, confirm this diagnosis. Now, Izzy's got a birthday this week, and so does Song. And, one of the things that Song was tickled about, she didn't realize it, but she never really thought about it. But Koreans are very unique genetically. They 99.9% of Koreans, whatever it is that causes body odor when you sweat, they don't have it. So Koreans sweat, but they don't stink. And so, one thing you'll know about Song is, anytime you're around her, she doesn't stink. And so she liked that. That's good, but most of us, we sweat, we have an odor. But no one likes that odor. No one likes a bad smell. In Exodus 5, verse 15 through 20, it says, then the foreman of the people of Israel came and cried to Pharaoh. Well, why are they crying to Pharaoh? Well, Pharaoh's taking the straw away. They got to go get it themselves, and yet they still got to do the same amount of bricks. Why do you treat your servants like this? No straw is given to your servants, yet they say to us, make bricks. And behold, your servants are beaten. But the fault is your own people. But he said, you are idle. This is Pharaoh. You are idle. That is what you say. Let us go up and sacrifice to the Lord. Go now and work. No straw will be given to you, but you must still deliver the same number of bricks. The foreman of the people of Israel saw that they were in trouble. And they said, you shall by no means reduce the number of your bricks, your daily task each day. They met Moses and Aaron, who were waiting for them, as they came out from Pharaoh. Didn't go well with Pharaoh. It says, and they said to them, the Lord look on you and judge, because you have made us stink in the sight of Pharaoh and his servants, and have put a sword in their hand to kill us. Then Moses turned to the Lord and said, O Lord, why have you done evil to this people? Why did you ever send me? For since I came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has done evil to this people, and you have not delivered your people at all. So it went from bad to worse. Moses and Aaron met with Pharaoh, and they, showed the signs, just as God had said. They showed the snake, and they, these other things, and yet Pharaoh would not budge. In fact, Pharaoh said, the reason you're wanting to go see God is you got too much free time on your hand. I'm going to take care of that for you. I'm going to make sure you have no free time. People wondered, why is it that Pharaoh was treating his servants like this? And they were mad at Moses because Moses made them stink before Pharaoh. Prior to where they had went to Pharaoh in verse 11 through 14, Pharaoh issues the edict, go and get your straw yourselves wherever you can find it, but your work will not be reduced in the least. So the people were scattered throughout all the land of Egypt to gather stubble for straw. The taskmasters were urgent, saying, complete your work, your daily task each day, as when there was straw. And the foremen of the people of Israel, whom Pharaoh's taskmaster had set over them, were beaten and were asked, why have you not done all your tasks for making bricks today and yesterday, as in the past? So indeed, the people had been treated so badly as slaves for a long time now. And God had heard their persecutions, and God told Moses at the fiery bush that I'm going to send you and my people are going to be delivered. And yet things got worse. And I know Moses probably thinking, God, we're your people. What's up with this? We're the good guys. Christians, I think, sometimes say the same thing. Things happen. Bad things happen. And God has even said that's going to be the case. God had told Moses that Pharaoh would not relent, that he would grow a hard heart. We as Christians face obstacles ourselves. James 1, 2 through 5 says, count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds. For you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness, and let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given him. So, we endure these trials that we have. All of us are going to have different trials. Now, my trials are going to be different than your trials, but you're going to have trials in your life. God's not going to give you anything that's beyond that you can resist the temptation of sinning. But sometimes these things are going to overwhelm. It is through these things, though, that our faith grows and matures and gets to the point that God knows it. These things happen. God had a plan. The people needed a seed. The biggest thing the people need to see, and we'll see later on the lesson, is that it would be God that would deliver. Even though it be at the hand of Moses, but Moses was simply doing as God instructed, it would be the mighty power of God that would deliver the people. And we today need to realize that there are things that we can do, yes, but without Christ, without the mercy of God, we would have the inability to do such things. In Luke 21:19 it says, by your endurance, you will gain your lives. We need to persevere. And indeed, we must keep steadfast. And it's through these things we grow with our faith and maturity. But it's also through these things that we become what God needs us to become. James 1:12 says, blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial. For when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life, which God has promised to those who love him. Are you going through hard times? Well, if you're a Christian and you persevere, God is going to give you that credit. God is going to reward you for that. Indeed, your endurance will gain your lives. Pharaoh, kind of heartless, go now and work. Got a little offended, I think, by the fact they wanted to worship their God. Pharaoh's like, nothing's supposed to be more important than me. So go now and work. It's your own fault, he says to him. You have too much time in your hands. And now you won't have time to worry about God. Satan's biggest tool, I think, today is allowing your lives. It's the expectation of having busier lives. I think there was an old Paul Harvey thing that he read, an essay that about, what would Satan do, or what if I were Satan, and what he would do. And a lot of it has to do with things that have actually transpired in the history since then. But we allow our lives to be busy to the point we don't have time for God as we should. And we demonstrate this, and we lead to our children doing this and seeing that this model, that a lot of things are important. And we have equal importance on this, that, and the other thing, but yet God should always get the superior status. In Exodus 5:18 says, "Go now and work, no straw will be given you, but you still must deliver the same number of bricks." It had been easy for the people to give up, and Moses was almost at the point where he's like, "God, get someone else. Obviously, I'm not the man for the job." And so you stink. And a lot of times, we as Christians, to the outside world, we stink. They don't like us. They don't like the things we do. They don't like the things we stand for. There's all kinds of things that they have at odds with us. We are the ones that are considered intolerant because we believe in a Bible-based worldview. And to the world, they don't like that. And as a result, we're the ones that to the world stinks, because we want to serve our God. In Exodus 5:21-22, it says, "And they said to him, The Lord look on you and judge, because you have made us stink in the sight of Pharaoh and his servants, and have put a sword in their hand to kill us." Then Moses turned to the Lord and said, "O Lord, why have you done evil to this people? Why did you ever send me?" Now, it's important for us to understand the world is going to hate us. Jesus said it hated him, it's going to hate us. And it's important for us to know that to the world, we're always going to be different. And the thing is, we should embrace that and understand that the world is never going to like certain aspects about us. We can't decide to change and be more like the world. We'd be going away from God. In Matthew 5:10-12 says, "Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when others revile you and persecute you, and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven, for so they persecuted the prophets who were before you." Moses and the Israelites at this time, they were persecuted by Pharaoh. Over and over, we see God's people being persecuted. The early Christians in the first century were persecuted, and many had to give their lives simply for believing that Jesus Christ was the Son of God. If we are persecuted today, that is something that's good, because it means that we are embracing what God's people has always done and putting God's first. There'll be people that won't like it. See, God would speak with a strong hand. Why would God allow this to take place? There would be not even a shadow of doubt who it was that delivered them from Pharaoh. In fact, when this is all through, even Pharaoh himself would have no shadow of doubt who it was that had delivered the Hebrew people. It'd be God himself. And so God says to Moses, "Listen to me, Moses. You're going to see now." It says in Exodus 6:1, "But the Lord said to Moses, Now you shall see what I will do to Pharaoh. For with a strong hand he will send them out, and with a strong hand he will drive them out of his land." Watch this, Moses. This is so that there be no doubt. What Pharaoh is doing is all part of what I know is going to happen. And yet, he is going to, in essence, drive you out of this unfortunate future. Paul would say, even though he had all kinds of persecutions in his life, he'd say, "For I am not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God for salvation to everyone who believes, to the Jew first, and also to the Greek." Not ashamed. I was glad and pleased to see that this Lads Leaders, that their actual theme this year is this very book. And it is something that we've studied, and it is a book that indeed deals with this. The power of God, the dynamite of God is the gospel. We should never be ashamed of it. In fact, God says to Moses and to the people, "I will redeem you. I'm going to buy you back. I'm going to buy you out of bondage and free you." Next is 6:6 says, "Say therefore to the people of Israel, I am the Lord, and I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians, and I will deliver you from slavery to them, and I will redeem you with an outstretched arm, with great acts of judgment." God will be their Redeemer. God also sent His Son to redeem all of mankind, not just from out of the burdens of Egyptian bondage, but out of the burdens of sin. We can be free from sin through Christ. He sent His Son to do this. Titus 2:14 says about Jesus, who gave Himself for us to redeem us, to buy us back from the slavery we were indebted to in sin, from all lawlessness, and to purify for Himself a people for His own possession who are zealous for good works. Indeed, we see with the Hebrews, the Israelites here, that God would redeem them. And they were to be a pure people, His own special people, and we know that they would rebel. We have even a greater understanding of things now. And we have even a greater Redeemer, and that is Jesus Christ. We should be zealous for good works. God speaks to us today. God spoke directly to Moses, and what a special relationship God and Moses would have. Not many people could say they talked directly to God on things, but God would speak to Moses. I want to tell you, God speaks to us today. In 1 Corinthians 1:18 says, "For the word of the cross is folly to those who are perishing, but to us who are being saved, it is the power of God." The gospel, the message of the cross, is something that people will ridicule and laugh at, and they don't take seriously today, but it is something that has great power. And it's through these words that God speaks to us. 1 Peter 1:25 says, "But the word of the Lord remains forever, and this word is the good news that was preached to you." We don't need to worry about making that the world thinks we stink. We don't need to worry what the world thinks about us. Our only importance is what God thinks about us, what God expects from us. Are we pure before Him? What kind of aroma do we give to God? Is it a pleasant one? Because we have submitted to His will. If you're not a Christian tonight, why not become one? Have your sins washed away. Or maybe here you have not been as pure as you should. You've not done the things that you should. Maybe of a public nature and you need to make that right this very evening. Maybe you just need prayers for the church. Whatever your need may be, come now, let's go to stand.
Our glory He sheds on our way, while we do His good will. He abides with us still, and with all who will trust and obey. Trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus, but to trust and obey. Not a shadow can rise, not a cloud in the skies, but His smile quickly drives it away. Not a shadow of fear, not a sign or a tear, can abide while we trust and obey. Trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus, but to trust and obey. Then in fellowship sweet, we will sing